All right, everybody, welcome to the afternoon sessions for today. My name is Joel Pett. I have the honor of introducing our next act. There's been a slight change in the program. We're actually going to have Kate Sally Palmer and Clay Bennett come talk about voter fraud. They went back for that. I love the walk-in intro. We've never done this before. It's very upscale. So I'm going to bring Mike Thompson out first. Mike has been an editorial cartoonist for more than 2 decades. He is on staff. That's right. He's on staff with the Detroit Free Press, syndicated by creators, and he's been doing animations for 12 years. Actually, he's worked on one animation for 12 years. He's going to tell you about that. And he's endeared to all of us old-timers in the AAC because we watched him raised up from a young pup when he won the Locher Award in 1740. So thanks, Mike, for doing this despite your back pain. If anybody is carrying prescription drugs of any kind...
or non-prescription.
Or non-prescription. We don't care. Mike will eat them. Nate Beeler, recently of Washington, and one of the few people to get a job recently, excellent, at the Columbus Dispatch. For 7 years, he was the cartoonist at the Washington Examiner, and he's had the honor of having his cartoons on CNN, on MSNBC, and Fox. That's a nice little double. He's kind of a namby-pamby, middle-of-the-road guy who both MSNBC and Fox like. Long list of awards: Berryman, Thomas Nast Award, John Locher Award from the AAC, and the best award of all, he was once named a pinhead by Bill O'Reilly. So, guys...
From the patch it come that goes to Thomas Nast. I'm spilling that ink into you, make you think. Yes, I'm willing, I'm able, I'm ready to draw labels. Watch me sketch a cliff, and I'll turn the drafting tables. Here a boom! When I drop that cartoon, TNT from my brush, it's high noon. Yes, I'm willing, I'm able, I'm ready to draw labels. Watch me sketch a cliff, and I'll turn the drafting tables. Here a boom! When I drop my cartoon, TNT from my brush, it's high noon. I'll give you 20 paces, then I'll draw the bloody faces. Politician better run, or he gonna require braces. Criss, cross hatch, I'm making my biznatch. Like McNally spitting pithy, like Steve Kelly sitting pretty. Like Oliphant Boardman, local Conrad Malden. My Bristol bowl will make him beg for waterboard. And my nib be scratching like a DJ hatching. Beat downs catching, every talking head napping. Don't give me animations, those zany self-relations. They're like sitting through a lecture on polymerization. I'm yawning, sorry, my deadline beckons. You spent 30 hours and I made it 30 seconds?
Animation's whacked? That's what he thinks? Hey, Gramps, join Joel and Steve out on the links. My topic's animation, the sensation that's sweeping the nation, a medium that's just the next succession in the long progression of our great profession. Charcoal and cave walls, berry ink with tints, so tablets, quill pens, and block prints, printing presses, and lithography, all were vehicles to convey our iconography. Now along comes animation. It's the medium that frees us all from our static tedium. Music, sound, color, and motion expresses emotion and gets across a notion. Animation's just another arrow in our quiver when we got a message that we want to deliver. It's about the message, not the form of delivery. Find arguments to the contrary on the floor of a livery. Dude claims animation ain't fly. Next he'll be saying I rap like a white guy.
Today's Sesame Street was brought to you by the word white.
I think we all know who lost that battle, and it wasn't either of us.
Yeah, in case you haven't figured out, the topic is animation versus traditional cartooning. I'm going to be taking the side of animation. Nate is taking the side of traditional cartooning. So just as an intro, I'll sort of give you a little background of how I got into animation. I started doing it in 1996. I was working with a person who was doing the animation, and it went absolutely nowhere. So I started, again, around 2000 trying to learn Flash. And I thought it would be like Photoshop. I go to a day class and I pick it up and then I can learn from there. But I went to the day class and was totally puzzled. So I signed up for a longer course, an actual college level course on Flash animation. And by the time I was done, I was still completely puzzled. So then I took it again, and finally I got to the point where I could, felt comfortable doing this. But it really took me years to figure out the animation, because it's not just the animation, it's sound editing, how to record sound so it doesn't sound like horrible. And I think for me, it's sort of like I've always been eager to embrace new technology, and I love telling this story. Jack Oman, the cartoonist from the Portland Oregonian, came to talk to my high school class, and he showed me this amazing technological device. It was this clear acetate that had dot patterns on it. And you could cut it out with an X-Acto blade and pull it off and peel it on your cartoon to get a halftone effect. And I thought, wow, what will they think of next? So I had to get my hands on that. And then, I found out about Duo Shade, where you're actually painting this chemical on paper, and magically this dot pattern appears. And by the way, if anybody wants to know about the future of this profession, I'd say go into it, because the chemical we were using to paint this on, it's going to kill us all from cancer in 5 years, so there's going to be plenty of openings. But that doesn't answer the question of why I'm doing this. What's the benefit over traditional cartooning? And the answer is that the audience that we're appealing to is a lot more visually sophisticated than it used to be. And you really have to stand out now more than ever in an extremely crowded marketplace of ideas called the internet. And color, sound, motion can make it stand out in ways that a static cartoon can't. And another reason for doing animation, if you're a political cartoonist, I believe, is that the days of being hired on in the media to do one job, working 30 years, and retiring doing exactly that same job, those days are over. We're going to have to be a jack of all trades. Nobody at my paper, for example, does one job anymore. We have photographers who are shooting video. We have copy desk employees who work shifts on the web desk. Reporters are shooting photos for online. So we're going to have to evolve or die, basically. I think probably the biggest distinction between traditional cartooning and animation is interactivity. Because of the constraints of the format here, I wasn't able to bring any of my interactive cartoons, but I'll tell you, for example, I did a cartoon I found an interesting statistic that income disparity is greater now in America than it was in ancient Rome. And so I had the cartoon, and you could go to the cartoon online, and you could click on various elements in the animation itself, and a graphic would pop up showing, income disparity over the last 10 years, or showing, the amazing gap between rich and poor in this country. And it was a way to sort of buttress your arguments in a way that you can't in a traditional editorial cartoon. You get one stone to throw in a traditional editorial cartoon. Here it's almost like being a columnist. You can have statistics and whatnot hidden in the cartoon, and it involves people, and they can click around and actually be engaged with the cartoon rather than just looking at it. I don't think animation is going to replace traditional cartooning. I hope it doesn't. They're both have many things to offer. But having said that, I'll just show my first Flash animation here.
By now you've seen the old movie in which a college-aged Barack Obama embraces deceased Harvard professor Derek Bell. Well, we're demonizing that movie because both men are black and because Bell advocated some theory with the word race in its title. Did I mention both men are black? Now, another old movie of Obama has come to light that's even more shocking.
Goo 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 gaga, goo goo gaga.
He's obviously speaking some foreign language.
Sounds like Kenyan to me.
And look at this.
Which world leader is he bowing to now?
Is that a Muslim prayer rug he's kneeling on?
And this scene is certainly telling.
See? He wants what others have.
The roots of his socialist ideology.
You know, I just noticed Obama's unusual attire.
Is that a turban around his waist?
Where's the birth certificate? Where's the birth certificate?
Thank you. I'll just advance to the next slide here. You know, even though I'm working in animation, it still requires, the skills of a traditional cartoonist. These are elements for the next animation. They were created in Photoshop. And I wind up having to create all these elements separately. But whenever I do an animation, I also have a print component. So it takes a while to think how I can compose something not only for animation, but that will also work in print. And over this past year, I was really sort of not happy with some of the limitations that Flash has, so I took a class in Adobe After Effects. And I think that, combining the two programs and taking the best of each really does a much better animation, or it comes up with a much better animation than just Flash alone. And so this next one is on Mitt Romney singing America the Beautiful, and of course I had to do the voice for it, and I thought, well, that's fortunate because I'm the only person in America who's a worse singer than Mitt Romney. So
from private schools to Harvard Yard, to millions made at Bain. From this land I've profited, from this land I've gained. America's been very good to me, 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 me. Dodging taxes via foreign banks, that's all I say, thanks. Pay it forward? No siree.
Thank you. One of the really nice things about doing a traditional doing animation is that you get a chance to. There's no space constraint, and this next animation I did was a series on Oakland County, Michigan. It was a 7-day series, and what's happening in that county is it was one of the most affluent counties in America, and the Great Recession hit. In Detroit, it was the Great Depression, and this county started experiencing problems that it had never had before. So I went out and sort of looked at this over a 7-day period of time, and there's this new form of poverty going on, and this where you have people who are living in mansions but have no income, no job, and are just as poor as anybody in Detroit. And this next animation was one of the people I interviewed, and he ran a soup kitchen, and what he was telling me was that he was in Pontiac, which is a very poor part of Oakland County, probably the only poor part of Oakland County, and people were coming in from the more affluent suburbs to get their services in Pontiac because they didn't want to be seen getting help in their own communities. So this was one of the 7 animations I did that went with it.
A lot of people are coming in from other communities, from outside communities that you don't think of as having issues of poverty or needs for soup kitchens. My name is Jason Morgan, and I have been here for about 2.5 years at the Baldwin Center. The mission of the Baldwin Center is to feed, clothe, educate, and empower the people of Pontiac. We have heard of a lot of people that are coming in from Rochester, down from Clarkston, Lake Orion. A lot of people who are in the situation for the first time of needing assistance, to go to a place that maybe is a place that you worship, and to be served by somebody who maybe you'll see in the street, or in a store, or someplace else. It's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to do, and it's easier to jump on Baldwin and come down the street to the center here. To not be seen in your community as somebody who now is in need of a handout, or is in need of a helping hand. The numbers have been going up consistently from year to year, month to month since I've been here.
As I said, that was one part of 7 that sort of told a story over 7 days, and there was an abbreviated print version also, but I could do a lot more with animation online and sort of convey the mood with the sound and the color, and I thought that was pretty beneficial. I guess I'm going to turn this over to Nate now, and he's going to talk about the merits of traditional cartooning.
Now, first of all, I do draw traditionally, but I love animation, and I think any cartoonist out there loves animation. When they see it done well, it's hilarious, and there's a lot of great people out there doing it. But traditional cartooning does have the benefit of just that immediate impact, and whether it's a multi-panel cartoon or just a single image, it can get it across quickly on the paper. But I really like the single image because of that immediate impact that it has. And I'll show you a few slides and then we can draw a little bit. And I just tried to pick some cartoons that I thought were very good at showing the value of the single image as being impactful. So you have a whole guy holding the newspaper. 1 in 5 Americans believes Obama is a Muslim. And so of the 5 Americans, 1 of them is eating paint chips. You've got, this was from 2008, during the campaign. It was the Wall Street before the Wall Street bailout. And Wall Street's bad debt going into this big federal dump with the national debt. And Uncle Sam says, yeah, put it wherever you find room. And then this is after Obama dismissed the Debt Commission's findings, their proposal, and it's the Sputnik moment, as he said, I think, in the State of the Union. And so you had the Sputnik going across through. And this would have actually worked as an animated cartoon, so maybe I should have included it. But, and this is, it's a funny cartoon about the Postal Service going the way of the dodo, and it's got some computers labeled email as dogs chasing after the mailman, and they're saying bark, bark with send buttons beneath it. And also the powerful image of traditional, the power of traditional cartooning is you can do a very artistic image, something that can be grand in scope and communicate something immediately. So this was Reclaimed by Desert, and it's Mubarak when his regime fell. And then this is when Osama bin Laden died, and I just wanted something that was simple and communicated a feeling instantly. And I don't know if this could have been done via animation, but and then this I did. This was about Ali Ferzat. News item: pro-Assad thugs try to silence Syrian cartoonist by breaking his hands. And so it has a pair of broken hands, and the blood dripping down forms a caricature of Assad. And in animation, you can do a cartoon like this, but traditional cartooning, this kind of image really carries a punch that I think animation might drag out a little bit. And I was front and center here in Washington for the Occupy protests here in McPherson Square, literally across the street. And so I drew a cartoon about it. This guy, Occupy Wall Street guy, and in his head, his brain is divvied up, and there's common sense on one side, and then the other 90%, which is ideology, angst, and rage. And then at the end of the Iraq War, was officially done with. Had Bookends in 2003, Uncle Sam Standing Tall and Proud in 2011, Diminished. And let's do this one too. And
sure.
So it's Mitt Romney as a giant monster truck launching out of the muck, and it's Rick Santorum riding on his little tricycle saying, "Golly gee, we're neck and neck. Game on." I think he's headed towards New Hampshire and Florida and the other primaries. So with traditional cartooning, you can really grab somebody with the image and just communicate something instantly. And I've always been attracted to that. I think at some point I may try animation, but as I said in my rap, 30 hours for 30 seconds? I don't know.
It's not quite that bad. How are we doing for time, Matt? Or did Matt leave? We were going to wind this up by Nate's, we're going to reverse roles. Nate's going to go on the Cintiq, and I'm going to go on the drawing pad, and Nate's going to draw his version of a cartoonist who animates, and I'm going to draw my version of a traditional editorial cartoonist. So,
all right.
Let's go. First, there's not a lot of diversity in our profession.
Okay.
So you'd have to be old and white, obviously.
I'm not really used to actually drawing on here, so I'll have to. It's basically my whiteout, the computer, so I don't get my hands dirty. And Mike, do you draw on a Wacom tablet?
I do. I go back and forth. I use Wacom.
I know
but
some
I'm
people...
really, I really love the bite of pen on paper, and so I guess I'm old school in that respect.
Traditionalist. So let's just figure it. It's very clear on my screen, but
and here's my view of a traditional editorial cartoonist shouting, "Get your dang trackball off my lawn!"
color?
I
don't know if I can do that actually. And set it up. Oh, okay. Let me animate it.
The amazing thing about technology is it's such a time saver.
And this is my version, which you can't really see, I guess, but of the animator, and he's all plugged in, but his light bulb, thought bubble, is dark and broken.
Great. Okay, I guess we're done. Thank you.